Hi, and welcome to the Panasonic webinar about how will referrals benefit your solar business. My name is Jason Cutter with Get the Referral. We appreciate you tuning into this, listening to this. If you're watching this, that means you're a Panasonic installer and you've received a invitation for this webinar because we have partnered up with Panasonic, and our goal is to help all of their installers and different partners with generating more referrals and growing their business in any way we can. And this webinar is focused on how you can benefit from referrals, which everyone knows is valuable, but why they're important and then what to do about it. Now, some housekeeping things for this webinar is that everybody is muted on this, so I wouldn't be able to hear anything if you were to talk. However, there is a chat feature, so if you want to go in and chat, you can send me a message and I will respond or deal with that or maybe address it as I'm going through. So if you have any questions, also, once we get to the end, we can do a Q&A portion as well. If you need any of the audio controls, you have it on the GoToWebinar session. So as for that, let's go ahead and move forward. So the plan for the webinar, what I'm going to cover is challenges for solar companies, what other companies are doing about them that we've seen. We've been working with solar companies for over 4 years, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but we've talked to hundreds and hundreds of solar companies in particular, and we know kind of what the challenges are, but then also what many of them are doing about it. Then we're going to talk about the benefits of referrals, which may seem obvious and clear for a lot of people, but we'll talk about how that fits in regarding the challenges for solar companies. And then we'll talk about where Get the Referral fits in with all of this as a tool that could help also. Now, challenges for solar companies. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these here, this stack of challenges, but here's what we've seen. So everything from recruiting sales reps to training them, managing them, follow-ups, marketing, lead generation, then you've got the referral side, and then you actually have the installation, service calls, you've got the project management, you've got profit margin, you got the business side of everything like licensing and accounting that you've got to deal with. And obviously there's the profitability, which is the fundamental bottom line for your business. And usually when we go through this, people identify many or several of these that could apply to your business. So just keep that in mind as I'm going through this. Now, some of the main challenges we've seen from that stack that I just showed you fall under 3 categories. So the first one is sales related. So generally in our experience is that salespeople don't like to change. And most people fundamentally don't like to change. But salespeople in particular, they don't like to change. So when you roll out something new or do something different or the market changes, they don't like that. Salespeople also don't follow up very well on their leads and may not even ask for referrals. Now, of course, there's salespeople who do. There's ones that are your superstars and they're very effective at that. However, as a general rule, if you're giving your salespeople leads, then they won't necessarily follow up on the ones who didn't close right away because they're just going to wait for a new appointment or a new hot lead to come over. And then they may not ask for referrals. They're not thinking long term. In our experience, a lot of salespeople are thinking short term. They're thinking today, this week, this month, what can I close? What can I make? And then they're not thinking about long term, which is in 6 months, I could be generating referrals that would be much easier to close. In 12 months, I could have a business that's only on referrals and is an easier lifestyle as a sales professional. Now, then there's marketing related, which is cost per lead per cost versus cost per acquisition. And so you've got your leads that you're buying. So you're either paying for leads, you're paying for appointments, or you're putting money into marketing that's generating that. But there's some cost every single time the phone rings or every single appointment that your sales rep goes on. And so there's a cost per lead. And then there's a cost per acquisition, which is based on your closing rate for your team. And so if you are paying $200 for an appointment and you're closing at 10%, that means your cost per acquisition would be $2,000. And so that can come into play when it comes to your margins and your profitability on your deals and the consistency of what those numbers are. And then on the marketing related side, we also have competition. So you're not alone, most likely, if you're listening to this, in your market, you're not the only solar company who's interested in selling solar. Now, some areas are much more saturated with solar companies than others, but fundamentally, there's going to be other people who are trying to buy the attention of the people you are also getting wanting to talk to, which means that there's going to be some competition for leads. And when that happens, obviously the price can go up, right? Basic supply and demand. Then we have the solar installation competition related. So talking about the marketing related competition, but then there's the solar one, so it's market share. So everyone's fighting for market share. And one of the challenges is that as we're fighting for market share, you have to either spend more or cut margins or do things in different ways. And if we look at these charts on the right, you can see from the Energy Sage Solar Installer Survey from 2018, everybody who was surveyed, all the solar installers who were surveyed in their report, 60% said there's going to be more installers, 29% said there's going to be fewer, and then 12% there would be no change. So the majority of people in the industry feel like there's just going to continue to be more and more people in the industry because it's such there's so much profit to be had. There's so much open space, even in markets where it seems saturated. There still is new companies popping up all the time. There currently is over 10,000 solar companies in the US, employing over 275,000 people, from installers to salespeople, and so on. And then if you see that right chart on the lower right is small versus large installers, we see that most people are kind of split that were surveyed, is that there's going to be larger national installers are going to gain market share, so 36%, and the smaller ones are going to lose it. 41% said smaller ones are going to gain it and larger ones are going to lose it. And 23% there's basically going to be no change. And so everyone is split on this, and I think really that depends on where companies are branded, where they're located, who they're really competing against in their local market. But that can put some stress on the market share, which is then going to put some stress on the profit margins. And then the second bullet on the lower left is the investment tax credit. So what's going to happen with the ITC? Is it really going to change? Is it going to lower? Nobody really knows. I mean, there's the framework and the outline of what the federal guidelines are. States have their own, what it's going to drop to. However, that could change. It could get better. But either way, if that does go through and it does eventually drop in a few years to nothing, then selling solar is going to be much harder, because then the numbers become much harder to justify for a lot of buyers. And then let's talk about the next slide, which is solar shoppers. Now, when we're talking about solar shoppers, we're talking about your customers, your prospects who want to buy. And again, in that Energy Sage survey, they found that most people, most shoppers, over 80% of shoppers are getting multiple quotes. They're getting either 2 or 3 quotes before making a purchase, which means they're shopping. They've got multiple people on coming to their house that they're getting quotes from, and they're basically pitting them against each other. There's even a percentage of the people who are getting 4 or more quotes, which is a small amount, but you can see that there. And then there's a small percentage, under 10%, that's only getting 1 quote before making their decision on solar, right? And that's obviously where you want to be. If you're the only one at the table, that's the home run for you, because then you can sell on value and you don't have to fight on price and margin. Now, on the chart on the right, we see the top challenges in closing sales. So when it comes to actually closing a sale on the solar side as a solar installer, here's what most of the companies said when they were surveyed. And so you can see here the top of the list is competitors create confusion and lower consumer confidence. We all know that if you're competing against another company and they're bad at what they do, or they're making promises, or they're just that bad salesperson that everyone fears and doesn't like from a consumer standpoint, they're going to create confusion, or they can just throw a lot of stuff and really make it hard for when you step in with your quote. Now you're having to battle them, and you're having to re-educate the customer about why it's important, or how to actually calculate solar, or how it works and the benefits of it. And then you basically have to you're starting backwards, not even starting at zero. Second one here, and I'm not going to go through all these, but you can see utilities and regulatory uncertainty creates customer hesitation about buying. The consumer doesn't know what's going on. They're worried about utilities, regulatory. If you look through here, they're worried about the government. They're worried about politics. There's all kinds of factors here that affect them from not wanting to buy or making it difficult to sell to them, right? So that's something important to keep in mind. I'm sure you've experienced this at some level. If you've been in business for a while, you know that you've experienced some of these. And here, this gives you a definitive list of what other companies are seeing as well. All right, and then let's talk about this real quick. So when we're talking about the challenges for solar companies, there's two main strategies and ways for solar companies to win in the marketplace, right? So one is to gain market share on the left, one is to gain gross margin. And you can see here how the different installers that were surveyed, again, with Energy Sage, is what they said that they would do in order to do this. Now, the interesting thing about this is these are two different lists with two different focus that don't necessarily have an intersection. So if you want to gain more market share, you can increase marketing and advertising spend. You can leverage new marketing, increase geography, hire direct salespeople, hire more installation crews. However, you're not necessarily going to gain gross margin because you're spending more, right? So if you're increasing market and you're spending more on leads, you're going to gain market share, but at what cost? A lot of times to gain market share, companies, especially in solar, are cutting their margin. So they're ending up with more deals at less gross margin, which means less profit, which means actually bad deals. It's possible that solar companies, and we've seen some where they're actually losing money because they're trying to close deals so unprofitable that they're actually not winning. It's not worth doing those deals. And then on the right, we can see here is how do you gain gross margin? So how can you actually charge more and get the fees that you want, the cost that you want? One is to target customers with higher opportunity for profitability, the ones you know who are more likely to spend and that you can sell to effectively and profitably. Improve the efficiency of your sales process, use more cost-effective marketing and advertising, focus efforts on more profitable geographic areas, and then increase prices. But it's tough to increase prices and gain market share. So a lot of companies are really torn with this. Now, let's talk about the ultimate strategy, which is referrals and then growing that referral business. So here's the stats that we know, and this is where it's important to put in strategies in place to help with the referral business and not just hope that it happens. So we know that referrals close at 50 to 70%. 91, this is a crazy one, 91% of customers say that they would be willing to send a referral, but only 11% of salespeople ever ask. And if you're listening to this and you own or manage a solar installation company, then you know that your salespeople aren't asking, most likely. Now, there's some organizations we've seen where their salespeople are well trained, the culture is great, they're asking, but most of the time, like I said, salespeople are thinking about right now, today, what can they close today? They're not thinking about 6 months down the road and the referrals that they could be profiting from and living on as a stream of revenue. The next one, 91% of customers are willing to refer after a positive experience, yet only 29% of the people do. And then companies who have a formalized referral program experienced 86% more revenue growth over a 2-year period. Now, this chart here is something we put together from over 4 years of data from our clients. And this one here is lead sales versus referral sales. And if we look at that orange line that cuts straight across the middle horizontal at 100, that's if we were to have a company who had 5 sales reps buying 20 leads a month or 20 appointments a month, giving them to the reps. So they're basically 100 leads per month as they're going through. Then we know that those leads on average for a lot of our clients close at 20%. That's what they tell us. So purchase leads, purchase appointments close at 20%. You can see that red line towards the bottom horizontal. That would represent the number of deals they're doing. So they're 100 leads, closing 20 deals. Then we can see the blue line. So this is the effect of referrals. Now, the interesting thing about referrals, and a lot of times this cuts both ways, but referrals are not a faucet for most companies. You can't just turn it on and instantly referrals and deals start coming out at whatever rate you need, right? It's planting seeds. It's more farming than it is hunting. And so you see here, so that if it was August 2018, then you would have referral leads, you would start your referral platform, and you would start getting referrals. And you can see how that slowly goes up until you get a critical mass. Then what you see here is that the deals, which would close, let's say the conservative end at 40%, there's a lag, right? Because you get a lead and then you're going to close that deal when that happens. Referrals are great, but they're not always qualified. And so you're not going to close referrals at 100% because just because they referred Aunt Sue doesn't mean Aunt Sue, let's say in this case, is qualified or has a good setup for solar or many other reasons. And so you can see that lag effect, and you can see how it's less, but it's 40%. You can see there after about 6 months, if you have a consistent program in place, you can see where the referral deals are at and then above the current deals if you're paying for them. And you can see that difference. A lot of times we talk to companies and we show them these kind of stats because a lot of companies, especially solar, in the middle of, let's say, summer, are thinking, I'm too busy, I can't focus on referrals, I've got too much business, I don't need more business right now. And what we tell them is, this isn't going to give you necessarily more business now. This is going to give you more business in 6 months. During the winter months, when you may be slower, or you just want to offset things, that's when these referrals will start to kick in. So you want to start planting that garden now full of referral seeds and work towards that. And when you're busy, it's actually best because you're putting more people into your referral system. If you wait till winter, then in winter, you're going to have to start this process, and then it's going to start hitting in summer when you're going to be busy and you don't necessarily need them, but it would be great to offset what you're buying. Now, here is the important part for building a referral machine. And again, keep in mind, we're in the referral platform business, which we'll cover, and we'll talk about our setup and how that works. But no matter what you do, here's the part of building an effective referral machine. And a referral machine is a system that's going to happen consistently every single time, no matter what, and should take a lot of the pressure and focus off of being successful away from your salespeople. When you build a system that relies on your salespeople to do a certain action over and over again, generally it's not going to work. So you want to make sure you build a referral machine that's on the back end, that's generating referrals consistently and predictably. So the first thing is that you want to be able to create advocates. You want to have some kind of system where you're taking people that you're in contact with. So whether it's customers that you've sold solar to, people that you know, your circle of influence, people your salespeople know, whoever it is, like anybody and everybody that you can, is you want to be able to put them into your system and plant those seeds as advocates. They're the ones who are going to be out there telling others about you and your service and your solar program. And or when people ask, they're going to be the ones who said, yes, I have a company I used, and here's who I recommend. So you want to create those advocates. You got to put that pool of people together. First is your database and your list. The second one is that you need to nurture them with some kind of notifications. Email is a way to go. That's a standard one. The challenge is that only about 5% of emails ever get opened. Most people, we all get our emails, but opening them, especially if it's spam or junk, we're not gonna do that. And so you want to have some kind of notification system. If you can send text messages, that's great. Text messages get read at 97, 98%. We all do that. Even if it's a spam text and I know it's junk, I'm still going to read it. Even if it's on my way to deleting it, I'm going to see it, right? Versus junk email where I'm not going to see it. And then obviously, if you can do some kind of app where there's a push notification, that's strong as well because you're going to get in their face. And so you want to make sure that you stay in touch with them with good messages, with good value, on a good pace. Then that's going to equal generating referrals. So you're planting seeds of your advocates, you're getting them into your system, you're nurturing them, and then that's going to generate referrals. And the key with generating referrals is not just getting that referral, but having that referral come into your system, not necessarily just getting a business card from somebody who they're calling, and then how do you even know the referral came into the system? How do you know they actually exist? And what's going on with the follow-up. So you want to make sure you're putting them into your CRM, into your database, and they're coming in directly into your system that you can then track through a special phone line or your CRM. And then you want to be able to make sure those leads turn into deals, and you want to be able to hold your salespeople accountable. If a salesperson gets 10 referrals and then they're working on those and they don't close any of them, you want to know that statistic down to the exact person so that you can then manage or coach or lead or refine the system in general. Now, if you have a rep who's gotten 10 referrals, they've generated 10 referrals and they've closed 6 of them, then you want to figure out what they're doing right so that you can teach the others. And if you have somebody who's not generating any referrals, then you want to go to them and figure out what they're not doing in the process or what's missing in the machine. Then, when you have a referral that closes, then you want to pay out those referral fees, and you want to do it as automated as possible. Sometimes you're just stuck with sending out checks or gift cards whatever it is. But any way you can do that where it's automated or online, efficient, and then scalable, that's the key. Because as you get busier and busier, then you're paying those out, and that could be a bottleneck or mistakes could happen. And then you want that effective, the reporting. So both the dashboards of the referrals, and then like I said, holding each salesperson accountable to what they're doing, and not just hoping they're generating referrals and hoping they're closing referrals, but actually holding them accountable through the statistics, which are black and white. Now, that leads into us. Now, let's talk about Get the Referral. So we were founded in 2014. Jamie Vumbach started this company. He was actually in solar. So he had his own solar business in Fresno, California. And after a few years of wanting his sales reps to generate referrals and asking them to generate referrals and seeing how much he was spending on marketing, for, with door knockers, canvassers, leads he was buying, he wanted to shift to referrals, but his sales reps just weren't doing it. They weren't asking, they weren't consistently following up. So he developed a web-based platform and an app and spent about a year building that with a development team, and then showed that to some of his solar friends who also had companies, and they all loved it, and they encouraged him to actually go into that business instead of the solar business. So he moved away from solar and then just has been focusing on Get the Referral, which is why we know solar so well. We have hundreds of clients. Most of them come from solar, partially because that's what we know. We have a lot of contacts. We love going to solar shows, trade shows, but also like we really know the challenges that solar companies have, and the app was originally built around that. So there's a lot of great tools, which I'll show you. We offer a very niche solution. We're the number one referral platform for solar companies in the US. We know what it takes for the referrals, and we focus on that, and I'll cover that as well. And really, it's about an ROI. So when you're buying any piece of software, putting in any kind of system, there needs to be a return on investment. And the key is, what does it take to get that return on investment? What does that look like, and when does that come for you? And that's really what our focus is on you as a business. It's not just selling you more apps and things that you don't need that may help your business. It's here's a clear path to how you make this pay for itself and how you win in your business as a whole. And then for us, we're headquartered in San Diego, California, which is a very nice place to be. And if you want to come visit us at any time, you can. But we work anywhere. We have clients in the US and then also international in several other countries. So let's talk about the app real quick, and I'm going to fly through a lot of these slides. If you want to see more information, you can contact us. We can go through a full demo. We can get you set up with an account where you can look at the app on your phone and get started with us. So first thing is you can download it or access the web app. It's on Android, it's on iPhone. You can go into the app stores and download it, or you can get it through the web. And then in the main menu, it's pretty easy. So you can see there on the left, the guy with the plus sign, that's adding referrals. There's also a menu if you hit the three lines up in the upper left, and you can see the options there, add referrals being the first one. And I'm just gonna go through these options, but the app is focused very much on, this is the advocate side. So this is for the customer when you sign them up and they're generating referrals, but it's all about the referrals they've sent, the status, where they're at in the process, how much rewards they've earned, and then how to get paid for those rewards on the referral side. It's really what we focus on. And you can see here, it's really easy to add a referral to the system. If somebody's out and about and they're walking around, instead of having your sales rep John's business card, they've got this app on their phone, and somebody says, hey, oh, I saw you got solar installed. Who did you go through? Instead of looking for that business card, which nobody carries business cards around, or trying to look through their phone and finding the phone number, they know that they have this app for you, and they can literally go in and say, okay, well, let me just add you under here, and then it'll send you the information, and I'll have them call you. And so literally they can go in there, they can select the product, add whatever information they want about that referral. So they just met at a party, or it's somebody who came over to their house. Enter in as much or as little as they want and whatever you require, and literally that's it. They can submit it. Then you can see on the right, you can see how the process works. So there's unverified referrals, verified referrals, sold referrals, and then closed referrals. And that really, you can set those parameters, what that looks like. What's a verified referral? Most people in solar use verified referrals as somebody who who shows up for their appointment, so the consult at their house, so that's a verified referral, and will even pay out for those. Also keep in mind is that your sales reps can use this as a sales advocate rep. So while they're out and about, instead of them handing out business cards, they can actually have this app on their phone, and they're literally adding people that they meet at the mall, at a barbecue, at a party. They can add people in here for referrals for themselves so that they can follow up, and it becomes kind of a mini CRM for them and tracking. And then the nice thing is, and I'll show you later, is that you have access to this on the back end, so you can actually see how many referrals they're generated, what they've gone, who they've got, and then who's moving through the various stages. Here's the advocator wallet. So this part is very important, because one of the challenges with paying out referral fees is that you've got to send them a check or a gift card, and then you have challenges where if you send over $600, you've got to do a 1099. What we've done is we've taken that whole process and gone digital. It's 2019, so why not go digital with everything? And so we've created what's called an advocator wallet, and so that's within the app. So this is from the customer side. So let's say you paid them $25 for a verified referral, which means that person showed up, their referral showed up for an appointment at the house. Now they have $25, and they have different options. So they can send it directly to their bank. They can use buy digital gift cards, which you see on the right. They can use PayPal, or they can buy prepaid virtual debit cards. And so there's hundreds of options, different ways that people can do this. And that way there's some incentive. You're giving that reward, and it's instant, and then they can transfer it. And the nice thing is it's instant on your side as well. It's not writing checks, it's not tracking them, and all of that hassle. Another feature in here that you can use or not use, because we have companies who don't use this as well, and you can turn this off from your back end, but we have write a review. So within the app, if somebody wants to, and you can tell them about this part, is they can click on one of these, and we would set this up for you with your specific links for where those go for your business as our onboarding process, but they can write you a review very easily. And most consumers say that they would give positive reviews, usually if they're asked. Now, we do have some companies that don't like the review process on there, because sometimes people will leave bad reviews on Yelp, and you can't do anything about that. And so that's completely flexible, that's customizable for you. Then we have in-app messaging. So this is important. So instead of text messaging, your customers can actually use the app to go back and forth with you. So they can chat with you. And the nice thing is that when they chat, it doesn't necessarily just go to the salesperson. It goes to the admin back end. So you can have a manager, yourself as the owner. You can have a marketing person. You can have an office assistant, anybody running this. And it doesn't rely on the sales reps to be the one chatting back and forth. Again, the point of this is to take that away from the salesperson and put that control and power back in your hands, so you can manage that process. And this is a two-way communication, so they can send you a chat, you can reply back, and you can go back and forth, and it's all logged. They can pull it up. It's logged on your end. You can pull it up at any point, so it's all tracked. And then there's social sharing. This one's great because if you imagine somebody gets solar, it's an exciting purchase. You're incentivizing them for referrals. You have a system where it's tracked and a process. Then the great thing is that they can go into their social network, and let's say they have 600 friends or 1,000 friends on Facebook. With a couple of clicks, they can share their referral form, which then you can see there in the middle one. It's, hey, they're filling it out. You can put in pre-canned templates that they can use, or they can just write it out their self, and then there's a referral form. The nice thing is that when they send that out, so they send that out to their 600 Facebook friends, anybody who uses that form, which you see on the right, to ask for help, or to inquire about solar through your company, that's going to go to your company directly. So again, we're not talking business cards, we're not talking emails, we're not talking, hey, call my salesperson, and then we hope that actually happens. That referral on the final step fills out the form, it goes into your system. And the nice thing is that your advocate, in this case here, Phil Dunphy, he is going to also get credit for that referral, because the link and the form is associated with his account. So he's now working as some part of your small army of salespeople who are advocates, again, clients or people that who are now, they could share this, and in a couple of clicks, literally reach hundreds of people within their network in so many different ways, as you see on the left: Facebook, Twitter, email, WhatsApp. They can text it, they can put it on Nextdoor. And so that lets you spread this reach like way more than you normally would be able to with traditional referral marketing. And this is what you want to have in place. And again, this way it's all tracked as well. And Phil is going to get the credit for this. So there's no worry about, hey, I shared this. Did any of my people call you? And am I going to get my $500 if they buy? Literally, it's all part of the system. And then we have some other things. So we've added other parts here where we can embed your website into it. So they can essentially use the app to get to your website. They can use the app to get documents. So whatever documents you want to put in there that you would normally email, you can put in anything you want, literally any document we can store in there, and then they can have access to it. And it really just creates a central hub for your customer. And then this next part is one of the biggest values to solar companies that we've seen. A lot of solar companies we deal with, they literally just want to get the referral app for their business, for their customers, for monitoring, because it gives them a great way to have people track their monitoring. Now, obviously, people like monitoring, tracking their monitoring for their solar panels. Here you can see on the left, we have 3 options. We can embed anything. As long as it's a URL, we can render that in the app, and they would log in once, and then every time they're in the app, they would stay logged in for that monitoring. And here's the main reason we did this. If I'm in business and I ask you to install a referral app, only a certain percentage of people are going to do it. And maybe they'll do it because they like me and they had a good experience, but most people aren't going to use it. It's not going to stay on the home page of their phone or on the home screen. It's going to get deleted, and then at some point it might get uninstalled completely, because the people who are going to use a referral app are the same people who are going to know who you are and going to refer you anyway. And so what we've done, and what Jamie's really focused on with the development team, is to create a customer app. So we wanted to create an app that you would give your customers, that they would be excited to use regularly, right? Daily if possible, weekly if not. And we want them to be able to use this app whenever they think of solar. They think of monitoring, they think of chatting with you, they think of their documents, they think of visiting your website. Anything to do with their solar panels and what they got from you as their trusted Panasonic installer is going through this app, and they're using it. Then what happens is, because they're in this app, because it stays on their home screen of their phone much longer than anything else, and you can send push notifications through the app to them and remind them about things, which I'll cover here in a minute. That means this stays on their phone, and then it's so top of mind, and they are thinking about you all the time, so that when they do have somebody that asks about referrals or where they got their solar panels from, then literally it's easy and it's a no-brainer, because they're already in the app all the time. So again, we focused on making this a customer app that also happens to generate referrals, right? Instead of a referral app that may or may not be effective. And like I said, a lot of companies, solar, they just want the monitoring. They love this as an app. It's totally worth it. It makes sense from a business standpoint. And many companies just sign up for that. Now, keep in mind, we get this a lot from solar installers is, hey, I have an older demographic, we're more rural, they're not on smartphones, they don't care about phones, my people aren't going to install another app, whatever those reasons are, which is why we still have the web app version. And as you can see this, it does everything that the mobile app version would do in the web app version. So you can go to the link, your customer can go to the link, they can log in here, and they have complete access. So that's great for the people who don't have a smartphone or don't want to install an app, or maybe they're at work most of the time, or they're on a computer most of the time instead of their phone. They still have access to everything here, and that's included. So that's not extra, that's included in this. Now let's talk about your end. So this is the most important part, is the sales admin dashboard side. And it's very important, again, for you to have the visibility and tracking, because it's not a system and it's not going to become a referral machine unless you have access to the data and tracking and stats and the systems on the back end. And so as you can see here, this is the general dashboard. You can see all of your referrals, and I'm not going to go through all of those menu items on the left, like that would be terrible and boring. However, just know one of the parts of the process is, once you sign up with Get the Referral, the first thing that happens is you're assigned to an account manager on our customer success team, and they are going to walk you through all of this process. So first thing they're going to do is get you onboarded, get the app built out for you in whatever way they can with all the right links and setting that up for you. And then what they're going to do is, for you and your sales team, they are going to do some sales training. So getting the sales team up and running with the app so that they can use it, they like it, they understand it, they know what they need to do with it, what they don't need to do with it. And then the account manager is also going to help you understand and utilize the admin sales dashboard on the back end. And so where to find all of these, and I'll show you some of them right now. So one of the most important things, and I mentioned this earlier, is you always want to have a system, especially in sales, in your machine, whether it's referrals or not, but where you're tracking the effectiveness of each individual person. And if we're talking about referrals, that can be tough because you're not buying a lead, which you can run through your phone system. It's a referral. Like they could be calling that sales rep's cell phone. Anything could happen that makes it so hard to track the results. Now, if we look at this dashboard example, we can see the bottom rep, and we see the stats on the right there. He's put 19 people onto the app and created 19 advocates who have created 25 referrals, and he's closed 5 of those deals, right? So that's some great numbers. Then we see the second guy down, Gary Sales Rep Test, where he's created 3 advocates only, only generated 1 referral and hasn't closed any deals. And so the key is as a manager, now you have the visibility to go, okay, what's George doing right? What's Gary doing wrong? And then how do I take what George is doing and implement that for everyone else? Or what do we need to tweak or change or retrain? And here you can see the messaging and emailing capabilities. So this is from your backend where you're pushing those emails, you're pushing messages, the push notifications, you've got all those. Now, again, so since Jamie built this coming from a solar background, he knows the challenges of solar companies and what solar companies are usually really good at, which is selling solar and running solar installation projects, not necessarily with a giant team of marketing people who are going to be writing messages, sending emails, and running those campaigns. Now, of course, we have some clients who do have that, but not many of them do, not the majority. So what we've done here is we've built in a lot of canned messages, like templates for you to use that are already there and that you can use and send out on the email side, on the messaging side. So you have a lot of those options where you literally can just go in and plug and play, send this message to these people or to this person. And then of course you can add your own and create more templates of what you use over and over again. And then there's the push notifications, like I said. So through the app, like any app, you can send push notifications. The key with this and the warning is that just make sure you don't send too many too often, because then what happens is people, if you're like me, you're just going to turn off notifications or just delete the app completely. And so you want to make sure that it's the right amount with the right strategy, letting them know that you have, hey, for this month here, let's say things are a little slow. You're like, hey, in the month of October, we are going to offer, an extra $100 or $200 for every referral that closes, right? Give them some kind of incentive. Let them know about new product offerings. Keep them engaged. Keep them excited about you and your company. Let them know about changes in the app, or to check their monitoring, whatever that might be. Push notifications are a great way to go. And now the app is on their phone, which gives you that vehicle that most companies don't have in sending push notifications unless you're also in the app business. And then here's paying it. So we're talking about sending the money to the advocates, to paying out for the referrals. Most companies are sending out checks or buying gift cards and sending those out. In this case here, you literally just go into your back end. You have money in your Advocator wallet and Advocator Pay on your back end as a company, and then literally you're just depositing money into their accounts, sending it to it, paying it out. And then that's easy as it gets. And then keep in mind, the other thing here is, like I mentioned, if you send more than $600 to somebody, you have to get all of their information and send them a 1099. The nice thing is, because this is being done as a digital transaction, a digital payment on the back end, similar to what companies like Uber do on their side, then the 1099 is actually a 1099K, which means you have to send more than $20,000 to an individual and over 200 in transactions back and forth. So not just 20,000, not just 200, but that combination. And the nice thing is that our merchant that we use on the back end will actually handle that 1099K if you get above those figures. And so you don't even have to deal with it either, which is great. So it makes it so simple to go through this process. Now, talking about the program, that's the whole layout. Again, if you want more information, let me know. It's easy to implement. So again, we do some live onboarding, train your sales reps, help you promote. So we have a lot of promotional materials and leave behinds, email templates, all you can do to get things going. If you have a book of business that you've been enrolling, you've installed, you have a lot of people in a database, you can actually import them and start it out with notifications to everybody and let them know that you now have an app and they can install install that and get on top of that, get that on their phone, and then you can follow up with them, which is great. And then again, our back-end team, your account manager who you're going to be assigned to, is they're going to track your results. So we know what should happen. I remember I showed you that ramp up plan where referrals take 6 months to really start taking off. We know what that trajectory should look like no matter what. So if you have 5 reps, you have 50 reps, you have 1 sales rep, whatever that is, we know what the numbers should look like each month as your referral business should grow, the number of advocates and the number of referrals. And so your account manager is going to watch that from the back end and do regular check-ins with you to make sure you're on track, that you're winning using the app. And if you're not, how can we help? What can we do for you? Is there retraining, other strategies, things that we're seeing that companies are doing? We'll help you out in any way that we can. Now, here's some referrals, some stats for us. So like get the referral. So again, we've been around since 2014. Last year, the stats came out for 2019 for the top solar contractors, and GTR actually represents, like we have 35% of the top 50 companies as clients. And based on the referrals that they've generated in the system, they've generated over $200 million in revenue just from the referrals that have been tracked through Get the Referral in our system. And for Panasonic specifically, our top 5 Panasonic installers have added more than 1,200 advocates. So remember, those are the ones that would generate referrals. And those 1,200 advocates have generated almost 1,600 referrals while they've been working with us, which is some huge numbers. And if you think about the power of referrals, no matter what system you have and what that could mean for your business, that's huge. Now, let's talk about the Panasonic partnership benefits here as we wrap things up, is that with the Refer Panasonic program and our partnership with Panasonic, you have the option or the ability to have a cash flow neutral with your co-op funds. And also, we normally have a one-time setup fee of $249. We've agreed to waive that for Panasonic partners, but then you can also use your co-op funds to pay for it. You get the solar monitoring rendered within the app, so you don't need to have 2 apps. You don't need to have them download a monitoring app and a referral app. Now you can have it in one. You get the communication tools, so direct messaging, push notification, email templates. You have that access to that social sharing where they can broadcast that out. They can write a review, and again, you can have that on or off. We have different companies that feel different ways. You get access to Advocator Pay, so you can pay them directly through the dashboard. We will integrate with your CRM, so we can do two-way notification or two-way integration, one-way integration, depending on what you have. Whatever your CRM is, if you have one, we can integrate it and work towards that so that you can track everything. Now, keep in mind is that if you don't have a CRM or you don't want to integrate it, maybe you're on spreadsheets, maybe you're just starting out in your business, you can use Get the Referral as a standalone CRM. So you can actually just have your leads come into there, the referrals. You can use it all in that admin dashboard, the management dashboard like I showed you, and then you can actually track all the referrals, move them through their stages, pay them out, monitor your sales reps, track their closing rates. You can literally treat Get the Referral as your own CRM. So we have a lot of companies who are brand new or starting out, or they don't have the infrastructure, they haven't gotten a CRM yet, and they'll literally use GTR as their CRM. You also get the referral webpage, so you can embed this in your website. So a web page that's specifically driving people to referring to you, whether it's through the app, through the web page, you can have that as a page on your site, and we'll get that set up for you. And then also, like I said, the app is available on iOS and Android. Now, for more information, you can go to getthereferral.com/Panasonic. We have a landing page there. You can fill out the information, request a demo. We'll do a follow-up. This is pretty much everything that somebody would show you, one of our account executives would show you regarding the app, but we can go through, answer questions, talk about pricing. Just so you know, the pricing is set up on a per sales rep basis. So it's a software licensing basis on a monthly reoccurring amount, and it's based on the number of sales reps you have. And then there's a certain level where if you have a lot of reps, then it becomes an enterprise level, and then it's just fixed at a certain point and above. And so if this is something that you're interested in, make sure to go to getthereferral.com/Panasonic. That's it for this webinar. I appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who attended. Again, you can go there, get more information. You also get a follow-up email if you want to watch this replay, the saved replay and recorded version of this. You can, you'll get a link for that. Please let us know if any information. Thank you again for watching this webinar and being a part of the Panasonic Panasonic team. We really appreciate that, and we really value our partnership with Panasonic. So let us know if you have any feedback or any ideas or anything else we can do to help you. But for now, thank you very much and have a great day.